I would like to create an awareness about the lack of support that several groups and communities experience here in the city. And what better way than to reflect on our day-to-day Canadian interactions by directly asking local Montrealers what they think about how society operates and give their opinions on how to resolve some of these issues. This is inspired by a university project that seeks to expose the truth of adult education and how it is delivered and applied in governmental, academic, and social settings. Ideas from this initiative come from Brigham, McGray's, and Jubas' 2021 work of Adult Education and Lifelong Learning in Canada, Advancing a Critical Legacy. Do I have your consent to film and ask a few questions for a university class project on adult education?
Oui.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions here. Do you feel like the government cares about the homeless people in the city?
Non, je trouve pas que le gouvernement fait grand-chose pour le monde qui sont dans la rue parce que ils mettent l'argent peut-être pas aux bonnes places. Justement, comme cette semaine, il y a eu à la télé les Kings de Los Angeles pour 5 à 7 millions de dollars, puis ils vont piger dans des fonds qui sont supposés être pour des compagnies qui sont dans la misère, en plus, ils ont beaucoup de restrictions pour pouvoir embarquer dans ce programme-là pour avoir, mettons, 100 000 dollars de subvention.
And do you think there are any solutions to homelessness?
Mais moi, je trouve qu'une des solutions, ce serait que les buildings qui sont vacants pourraient servir à faire des logements sociaux à l'intérieur de ça. Au lieu de les laisser pourrir, puis qu'après ça, ils se démolissent, puis qu'il y ait des tours à condos qui poussent à côté.
Thank you so much for your time.
My name is Richard Singh.
Thank you.
Bye.
Do I have your consent to film and ask a few questions for a university class project on adult education?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions for you. Do you think the sex education program taught in Quebec schools caters to all individuals in terms of gender and sexual orientation?
I think I can probably more answer on this since I studied in Quebec since I was young. I really don't think it's adequate right now. What I was taught, I wasn't really taught anything actually on sexual education. We had maybe 2 classes. You know, it's like punctual classes, like really an hour or 2 hours in like my whole school experience. So I wasn't really taught anything. Like they teach you about condoms. They don't really teach you about any like LGBT like specific sexual education or like identities, queer identities. They don't actually teach you any of that. So I would say no, it's not adequate.
Do you have any suggestions on how to improve it as a whole?
I think it would be really just like maybe not conference, but bring more people, like queer people or just experienced people to talk about this stuff and just speak about their experiences and how to help kids navigate their identities, sexual identities, and just be safe about it. Do you have suggestions?
Moi, je pense que ce serait mieux d'ouvrir plus de questions aux jeunes pour que les jeunes puissent poser des questions plus spécifiques. Puis aussi pour les maladies sexuellement transmissibles, parler de ce que ça fait quand on est queer, par exemple dans des relations entre 2 personnes assignées femmes à la naissance. C'est parfois se protéger contre les maladies sexuellement transmissibles, on ne sait pas vraiment comment faire. Et que parler de ça, puis être beaucoup moins hétérocentré et cis-centré en général. Ouais.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Do I have your consent to film and ask a few questions for a university project on adult education? Yeah, okay, so thank you. I'll ask you a couple questions. So do you think that there is still a lack of Black representation within the Quebec school system?
Yeah, in my opinion, yeah. Like when I went to high school, the only time there was Black representation was during Black History Month. And yeah, that's cool, but at the end of the day, like growing up, like I went to a school where it was kindergarten all the way to like graduation. And like I feel like during kindergarten, that's when like you're really trying to like figure out like you as a person, and like Black culture is a big part of like the person you're gonna become. So I feel like they should really incorporate more, how do I say, like maybe activities, I don't even know, but like incorporate more Black culture to kindergarten or like elementary school. Well, not like just Black culture, like every culture, like, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, that was my next question. So, what are some ways teachers could create a safe and inclusive learning experience for their students?
yeah, so as I said, activities, like, but that's just like for kindergarten basis. But maybe they maybe clubs. Like I know my school didn't have like any clubs, which is kind of lame, but whatever. But yeah, clubs, activities. Yeah, I think that'd be dope.
Okay, thank you so much. Do I have your consent to film and ask a few questions for a university class project on adult education?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Thank you. Okay, so I just have a couple questions here. So can you tell me about any racial discrimination you've experienced as an immigrant?
So I think I'm pretty lucky being here in Montreal, but I do notice that sometimes there's like a bit of microaggressions in terms of attitude when you're in public spaces. Let's say the lady, you know, at the grocery checkout might not necessarily smile to me, but I've seen that she's smiling at everyone else. So I think it's much more subtle in terms of like discrimination.
And what is your opinion on Montreal's multicultural attitude in the city?
I think here we're pretty lucky. It's kind of a bubble, but as soon as you leave Montreal, it's definitely much different. Here, I think people are much more open. You know, there's also a lot of exposure to all these different cultures and people and ethnicities over here. We have so many restaurants in universities and colleges. We have so many students of all different backgrounds, and all this exposure makes people much more open-minded of everybody and much more inclusive. I feel like everywhere you go here, it's not really socially acceptable to, you know, discriminate against anybody or leave them out based on, you know, their ethnicity or the fact that they're an immigrant or whatever.
Thank you so much. Do I have your consent to ask you a few questions for a university class project on adult education?
Yes. Yeah.
Who and what do you think can resolve this?
Trudeau should, for one. They don't get us. A lot of people are racist. So.
As an educator, it is necessary to promote that critical thinking and guide students in a way so that they can recognize what is right from wrong within our societal values. Adult education is an important field of study as it affects learners' personal, political, and economic well-beings. The decisions they make and the way they interpret the world is part of my responsibility as a teacher. I choose to generate a curiosity in my learners' development so that they can reflect on change and behave in a respectful manner towards the community.